The final in LA last night, USC 32, Utah 34. How did this happen? How did we get here for USC? There's probably a lot to unpack within this game. There's not just one simple answer to what happened last night, probably contrary to what popular belief would tell you and what the Twitter sphere would tell you. There was not just one issue last night. In fact, there were multiple, and we'll talk about it right now. Caleb Williams, you got people telling the Twitter sphere that he should sit out the rest of the season. We got thoughts on that. We got thoughts on USC going forward, even the rest of the year. Before we get to all those, USC faithful, we have a lot of y'all that joined the party recently. Make sure you're subscribed. We're not done talking about your Trojans. The rest of the season, got a lot more big games we're going to break down for you when they get here. Got a lot more massive storylines within this team to talk about as we move forward. So make sure you're dialed in so you don't miss a minute of what we got going on right here on this channel, on this show, The Hard Count. Hit that subscribe button for us. We appreciate you in advance for that. So where are we at today? Worst case scenario would be that you're out of the Pac-12 title race, which USC is not, but Heisman Trophy, probably not going to happen for Caleb Williams this year. College football playoff, barring something wildly unforeseen, probably not going to happen for USC this year. And a lot of people already have taken to the Twitter sphere and said, the defense wasted Caleb Williams. At a macro level, I don't think that's untrue. And if you're looking at USC as a ship taking on water, I think the defense is absolutely the largest leak in what happened last night. Allowed 5 yards a carry. You scored 32 points offensively. Now, there was a defensive score baked in there, mind you. We'll talk about that. But, as a team, when you score 32, you should feel pretty confident about being able to win a football game, especially when the opposition is playing with backup quarterback. Sounds like the wrong word because he hasn't, been the backup really this year with Cam Rising not playing at all this year. But, we understand, it wasn't Cam Rising out there for Utah. It wasn't. And so USC, you felt like maybe they'd be able to set the pace, pull away from Utah. That wasn't the case last night. Now, I'll say this. As much as the USC defense has some responsibility for what happened last night and what's happened over the course of this season for USC, I think last night was a team loss, much like the Notre Dame game. There were multiple times where I felt like the offense could have done more and didn't do more, had opportunities to kind of separate themselves, and that wasn't the case last night for USC. The execution was not there. The defense gets a stop on downs on 4th and 1. Big time stop. Offense does not get points off that. Had a turnover with fumbling the football. There were times where USC's taken 3 points instead of 7. In a game against a well-coached, physical, tough roster like Utah is, and we know what they're going to be for USC, we got to go for the kill. We can't leave money on the table if we're the USC offense. And we already know, we're the engine of this whole operation. There were times, again, where USC, it felt like, left them hanging. Heck, the defense actually, like I said a second ago, had a score that kept USC in this football game. They held Utah to 3 to keep USC in this football game late in the game. And it's 100% true that a stop for USC on that final drive would have won the game. I'm sure Bear Alexander, you saw the emotion from him last night on the sideline. Nobody feels worse than him with the way that this game ended. If a couple plays end up different on that drive, maybe we're having a different conversation today. But I think you also talk about the offense going for 2 and not getting that. That kept it a 3-point game. Or that didn't make it a 3-point game, rather. That didn't allow USC to extend, rather, to make it that 3-point game and allowed them to only be up by 1 in that spot. So, if that happens, if they get that 2-point conversion, maybe we're playing for OT. Maybe this game goes to extra innings and we're having a conversation about free football in the Coliseum. I understand it's not extra innings in football. It's an expression. All right, so the true statement is that stop would have won the football game, but I think the USC offense has a fair share of blame when it comes to what happened in the Coliseum. Now, I have to address this because I think it's just so wild and so out there. People saying Caleb Williams should sit out the rest of the season because he has nothing left to play for. I don't even know that people saying that truly believe that statement. I mean, think about let's just make it like the conversation around this is it's a business decision, right? No college football playoff, no Heisman Trophy, sit the rest of the year out, Caleb. If I'm a GM and I see a quarterback just quit on his football team, because that's what it would have been, to be honest with y'all, at this point in the season, with the games they have left to play, to leave them hanging, I wouldn't want to draft that guy. Now, Caleb Williams is a one of one, so maybe you just bite the bullet. But I'm just saying, I don't think that speaks volumes to Caleb Williams and what he wants to leave legacy-wise at USC. Like, come on. Let's be serious. Let's not just throw takes out there to throw a take out there. I think that was foolishness, and we don't co-sign that by any stretch of the imagination. And that would be absolutely wild if that were to be the case, if that were to happen. And again, I'm telling you right now, not going to happen. Right? Not going to happen. I think Caleb Williams is a better teammate than that. Now, I also want to make sure we say this, though, and it's something that I've kind of been slow to talk about on this show just because it's purely an observation, and I don't know Caleb Williams personally, and I don't pretend to understand the situation he's in, being the Heisman Trophy, being the Heisman Trophy winner, having the weight of the world on his shoulders, having the weight of his team on his shoulders week in and week out. But what was a little bit concerning to me, and again, I could be way off. I don't pretend to know Caleb Williams, emotional game, all the disclaimers in the world out there. What I would love to see differently from USC going forward and for Caleb Williams going forward is the body language. Because when I see something negative happen for USC offensively, I watch the way that players respond to things. And, are they rattled? Are they frustrated? Are they calm? Like, what's the reaction? And Caleb Williams, when something doesn't go right, I see a lot of eye rolling. I see a lot of palms up, like, hey, what's going on? It's not, like, what are we doing here? Someone explain this to me. Like, I don't love that. And again, I'm not even saying that's Caleb Williams' attitude. I'm saying from the outside looking in, just as an observation. Even if I'm Caleb Williams' teammate and I see that, like, we are going to look to you to set the temperature for us going forward. So this is not me giving some sort of definitive statement on Caleb Williams' character or the competitor he is. None of that. I'm just saying from an observation standpoint, I would love to see the steady hand be there for USC offensively and have him be that guy, because he can be that guy. He's the best player in the country. He's the best player in the country. And understand, he's still, a kid. Like, he's still in college, so I don't want to try and put more on the guy than there already is. But, I think when you watch USC, there were times where it felt like there wasn't that, like, that motor buzzing for them. There wasn't that engine. There wasn't that fire from them. And I'm sure they have it, but from the outside looking in, I wasn't seeing it to that same extent that I saw from Utah last night. I'd love to see that from Caleb Williams going forward. And going forward now for USC, I think there is a chance for them to draw a line in the sand. A lot of big-time games on the horizon for them. A lot of games for them to still set their legacy for what this team's going to be. Lincoln Riley said it, like, hey, we're in it for the long haul. This team's in it for the long haul. I believe Caleb Williams is in it for the long haul. I'm excited to see how he responds. I'm excited to see the way this team rallies around him, the way that he leads the team forward. But I think USC as a whole is a machine that maybe just needs some tinkering. Not reprogramming, not the new iOS update, just some tinkering. Maybe it's the roster defensively this upcoming transfer portal cycle. Maybe it's in season you're tinkering with some things schematically. You're tinkering with guys you're playing at certain spots. I don't pretend to have the answers. It just feels like USC has too much talent to play the way they're playing right now on both sides of the ball. That includes the defensive side of the ball. So I can't wait to watch how they respond. I can't wait to watch how Caleb Williams responds. And if you're USC now, what do you do when you get knocked out of the college football playoff? What do you do when you don't have that same thing to chase as it stands right now with the information we have and history as our teacher? All that's to say, USC, legacy kind of stretch for them here coming up with Washington and Oregon on the schedule. They'll play UCLA still, obviously. Like, a lot of big-time games for them left. How do they respond? Can't wait to see. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.